Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stephen Breach coming to you fresh out of the gym, about to go start my day. Don't really have anything to do until the early part of the afternoon, so I might go home and watch some wrestling. I haven't had a chance to check out the Okada versus Kenny Omega Wrestle Kingdom match yet. Yesterday, my kiddos, they wanted to swarm up on the couch. They wanted to watch a disc of the Simpsons DVD that we just picked up for Christmas time. So we ended up doing that, so I haven't had a chance to check that out. But I was in the gym today. I was listening to the MLW podcast. Thank you for giving me the inspiration for this video. They had in the hot seat Matt Farmer, who does 2 different podcast shows with them on the network. And MLW is always a pretty constant show that I like to listen to. It comes out on Tuesdays. They've got a lot of good shows on their network, such as the Bruce Pritchard, which honestly has become one of my favorite podcasts that are out there. Something to Wrestle with Conrad Thompson. I think they have Eric Bischoff. They've got Ric Flair. I honestly don't have time to listen to those podcasts, but it's nice to know that they're sitting there in case one day I have to, say, clean the house and I don't have anything to listen to. So it's a good alternative to jump to. But I haven't really heard anything newsworthy other than the Halle Berry story come off of the Ric Flair or the Eric Bischoff shows. So we'll see what it comes down to. The big discussion on MLW today was Ronda Rousey and what she does now that she's lost to Amanda Nunes. This is her second straight loss in UFC. Will Dana White and UFC try to get her to go back out there? I was listening to the Wrestling Observer last night / this morning as I was making lunches, and I believe the early word out on the buy rate is 1.1 million buys, about the same average as the Holly Holm fight 13 months ago for Ronda Rousey. So UFC knows they put Rousey out there. She's going to bring in that million buy mark that, is always sort of like the golden thing for UFC. When they get 1 million buys, that's a lot of cash in their pocket. And definitely with the sale of the company back in the early summer, that's something that they want to be hitting to make sure they're going to be making profits year after year after year. One of the reasons why that Holly Holm fight was on that Friday in late December was they sort of wanted to have another year where they made sure that they made a huge amount of profit. And that's why they stuffed that show there rather than making it one of the first shows of the upcoming 2017, which normally is a big circle on the calendar, such as like the first Raw or the first SmackDown was this week for WWE. Ronda Rousey has basically said before the Amanda Nunes fight that even if she wins, this might be one of her last fights. Now that she's lost, is this her last fight? What is her future with UFC? There has been an ongoing rumor for well over a year that Ronda Rousey wanted to do something in WWE. She's gone as far in some of her press conferences to say that she wanted to be, at the time, WWE Divas Champion. She wanted to see what she could do going down that road. She has been a long time fan of professional wrestling, going back to being a kid, where she was a fan of Rowdy Piper, where she got her nickname, Rowdy Ronda Rousey. She's a fan where she's been at big shows in LA since his SummerSlam. You saw her, ringside for the Stephanie McMahon versus Brie Bella match, where she was wearing the Rowdy Piper t-shirt as well as the Bray Wyatt hat. They took her backstage. She did the Ice Bucket Challenge with the 4 Horsemen, dumping the ice bucket water on Stephanie McMahon after her match. It's funny, it's been that long since the Ice Bucket Challenge was a thing. Shit, where was I? She's been a big fan. That she goes to a lot of PWG independent shows. She went to a show, I believe, in Cleveland, Ohio, which was Shayna Baszler's, one of her first fights, or maybe the fight where she won the championship in an independent show. Sort of, cheering on her friend and being there and supportive for her. The big thing is that Ronda Rousey, when she lost the Holly Holm fight, basically fell into a state of depression where she wanted to get out of the limelight. She basically wanted to get out of the media. She didn't want to be around anybody. She did a few public appearances. I believe she was on the Ellen show. If Oprah is still a thing, she did Oprah. but she really didn't do anything for UFC or for anything out there. So the question is she going to want to show up, even if it is for WWE, even if it is for a payday? Definitely, when you think about the track record of WWE, they have gone after, fallen stars. You go back to those early WrestleManias. Almost every time on those early WrestleManias, they had a celebrity. It was a fallen celebrity that basically hadn't been in the limelight in the past 5 or 6 years, but it was somebody who at one point was an A-list person that WWE thought they could bring in for not that much money, and maybe they could steal some headlines and people would want to check it out. Muhammad Ali was way after his prime. Billy Martin, I believe, at the time might have been the manager of the Yankees, or might have been fired, for the 10th time as a manager of the Yankees. Alex Trebek had Jeopardy. The Wendy's, Who's Got the Beef lady was at WrestleMania 2. Stupid shit like that. But, Mike Tyson coming in at WrestleMania 14 to be the special guest enforcer, special guest referee, whatever he was, for the Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold Steve Austin match. Definitely when they got Tyson, they were able to get him, not cheaply, but they were able to get him to show up at the Royal Rumble. They were able to get him to show up on Monday Night Raws to support the fight. One time DX was basically picketing, trying to get WWE to make the match Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Mike Tyson, trying to save the championship for Shawn Michaels because Shawn didn't want to fight Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then basically they got Tyson to join DX. He wasn't on the show each and every week, but every time he was on the show, it was headlines on ESPN, on SportsCenter, on things like that. WWE, if they were to sign Ronda Rousey, a lot of people are thinking that it would be for WrestleMania in Orlando. I know that a lot of people are thinking that WWE is gunning, trying to sign Conor McGregor. They've already got Shaquille O'Neal. There's big things coming up in the works for them. I honestly think that if WWE is going to get Ronda Rousey, one of the times that they might want to try to bring her in is sooner than later, and that would be SummerSlam, because of the fact that her movie, Roadhouse, the remake of the old 80s movie, is going to be coming out this summer. I know that maybe, Big Dwayne is going to want to show up also and try to steal some of the limelight because he has Baywatch coming out. But I think Baywatch actually might be coming out earlier in the summer, where SummerSlam might not help The Rock, even though it might be a big hit at the time with him and Zac Efron running down the beaches and saving hot blonde chicks. And hopefully they're not wearing tops, if you know what I'm talking about. But, Ronda Rousey's movie for SummerSlam, would be a huge thing where it supports the movie, it supports WWE. Ronda Rousey's come out basically saying that she doesn't care about money. She doesn't care what people think about her. But definitely, if she goes to WWE, she does do a match. Most people would think that maybe, it would be against Stephanie. I don't know if it would help Charlotte that much. If Charlotte was just running ruckshot over the women's division on Monday Night Raw, where she wasn't losing the championship, every other week to Sasha Banks on Monday Night Raw, I think that Charlotte versus Rousey at SummerSlam would be a big thing that would help, Charlotte out, and it would be a big deal. But at this point, if you put Rousey against Charlotte at SummerSlam, even if the championship's not on the line, I think that Ronda has to beat Charlotte, and I don't know how that helps Charlotte out other than the fact that she was in the ring against a big name, and it's going to be on SportsCenter, and a lot of eyes are going to see it. But at the end of the day, it's another loss for Charlotte, and she's been getting beat by, Sasha left and right. And I'm not saying that Sasha's not a star, but Charlotte is supposed to be the girl that they're building up to be the face of the division, the face of the company, the face of Tap Out, this, that, and the other. So, I'm not really sold on it. Of course, a lot of people out there will think that because of the fact that it's Ronda Rousey and that she's a big star and they did the interaction at WrestleMania 31, Stephanie's going to want to get the match. I think that hopefully Stephanie, I know that she trains a lot and she was awfully proud of her SummerSlam match against Brie. I think Stephanie would be smart enough to stay out of this one. They've already got the people talking about Brock versus Shane, a match that they did some build-up for, which I guess now, because of the success of Goldberg, isn't going to be happening. And now when you watch SummerSlam from this year and you watch it back years from now, you're going to wonder why Brock beat the piss out of Shane at the end of the show, because they never did anything with it other than fine Brock $500 and suspend him, only to bring him back and not talk about the fact that his suspension's over. So, you know, Rousey and WWE honestly could happen. It could happen sooner than later. It just comes down to what Rousey wants to do. She's basically said that she doesn't, you know, care about money, but definitely, I mean, there's going to be a big payday for her right out of the gate. She could ask for royalties, where basically, I don't think anybody gets anything from the network, or at least nobody knows of anybody getting anything from the network. Just the only thing that Meltzer always says that top stars are always taken care of, whether if that's a bonus or this, that, or the other. But definitely WWE is going to know how to, you know, push her and make money, whether that's putting her on the event shirt and selling the event shirt. Definitely she would have her own WWE shirt. She would have her own hat. She would have her own, I don't know if they can make workout pants with her or something like that. I'm sure she's got some sort of a workout attire deal with somebody. Oh, she's got the Reebok deal. But, I mean, they'll find a way to find loopholes, get in and out of it. I mean, you know, Brock Lesnar's got his own sponsors with Jimmy John's and things like that. And they just slap a Jimmy John's logo on the back of his shirt and just send him on out there and not really worry about it. So they'll find out the same thing to do with Ronda Rousey, whether that's, you know, stitching on a Reebok logo onto her shirts that she wears on WWE television, or having her actually do the fight in Reebok attire. They'll look past it. They'll make sure that they can make this happen. But SummerSlam, WrestleMania, one way or another, even if we have to wait all the way to WrestleMania 33 in New Orleans, Ronda Rousey coming to WWE is going to be a big deal.